Hello friends, my name is McKenna and welcome to Knit Between the Lines, a knitting podcast. This is a podcast where I chat about what I'm knitting, what I'm reading, what I'm spinning, and any other fun things I get up to along the way. So grab whatever project you're working on and let's jump into it. So it's been a while since we've chatted, it's been holidays happened, I went home for Christmas, work got a little crazy. This is also the second time I filmed this video because of audio issues, so here we are. It's been a while, but let's talk about what I'm wearing today, which is also our first finished object, and that is the Pressed Flower Shawl by Christoffers. I feel like this was very much a much anticipated finished object from the podcast. I feel like I've been working on this forever. I cast this on back in the fall, beginning of the fall, and I've been knitting on this forever. This is a mosaic, all over mosaic and textured shawl, so it does take quite a bit of time because with mosaic knitting you are working with one color and slipping the other, and then the next row you switch them. So you're essentially working each row twice, which makes your fabric quite compact and does take quite a bit of time. And as shawls grow, you get more and more stitches. So in the beginning, it feels quite quick, but then towards the end, each row does take way more time. But all in all, I am super happy with how this turned out. The yarn that I chose was made by Hailey in her classic DK base in Anthocyanin, which is this really beautiful cool toned brown, and then Muslin Moth, which is this purple undertoned taupe, which I really love. I love Made by Hailey. She is a local to me PNW yarn dyer, which I have mentioned on many occasions on the podcast. She has a really cool take on like nature inspired yarn colorways, which I love. I definitely think you should check her out. She's super great. I love her so much and I love her yarn so much. I love the shawl. I think it turned out great. It is absolutely beautiful. I'm obsessed with it. I am now a lover of massive shawls. I totally get it. Being able to swallow yourself and just cozy down in like the most massive thing ever. Was I tired of knitting it towards the end? Absolutely. I had so many stitches on my needles and each row was taking so long. I was so over it to a point where I almost didn't want to knit this border. I almost wanted to just cast it off so I could be done with it. But I was so close to the end of it that I'm so glad that I pushed through because it looks so beautiful. The border really is the piece de resistance on the end of the project. I knit everything to pattern. The only difference is that the bind off, I did not do the bind off suggested in pattern. I actually opted to do the Icelandic bind off, which is a decorative bind off that is I think a little more stretchy and it kind of has like a bumpy texture to it, so it looks really great against garter stitch, which is the texture of the shawl. So I'll give a little close up here. It looks really beautiful. I love how it turned out. I think it looks really great. I think it incorporates into the texture of the shawl really nicely. It's a very easy bind off. You can find a video on YouTube. There's plenty of them. So I really like this shawl. It's gorgeous. I've worn it constantly. I'm really glad that I pushed through and opted to not cast off early. So highly recommend. I think it's gorgeous. I very much plan on wearing this very often, so it is everything I wanted it to be and more. That being said, let's jump into works in progress because I have a new cast on to share. So my first work in progress is the Zipper Sweater Man Light by Petite Knit, and yes, this is the fabled Christmas sweater for Cameron that I was supposed to cast on like October, November last year and did not get to it because I had two projects on the needles that were very labor intensive, one of which had said needle size that I needed for this project, and it just didn't work out, and I was very sad about it because I really wanted to gift this to him for Christmas. But I ended up knitting him the Oslo hat instead, which he still really liked. So this is very much a priority for 2026 and honestly might end up being his birthday gift. His birthday is in March. So I am really loving how this turned out so far. The yarn that I chose is Barocco Vintage DK, which does have a percentage of acrylic in it. It's acrylic and wool. And I chose this yarn specifically because Cameron does have sensitive skin and sensory issues to certain fabrics. So the acrylic does lend a softness to the yarn that I think he will tolerate very, very well. And then I'm also holding it with Knitting for Olive's soft silk mohair as well. And the Barocco Vintage DK is in black currant, and the Knitting for Olive is in Bordeaux to achieve this really, really beautiful wine color, which I think is really gorgeous. I like love this color so much, and I think it's gonna look so nice on him. I think it's gonna complement his skin tone very, very well. I love this color. The Barocco Vintage DK is also like slightly heathered, which I think is really fun. You probably won't be able to tell on here because it's kind of a dark yarn, but it kind of has like these different variations in the fiber. It's like a dark purple, a light, like a reddish maroon, and a black, and like all these different shades kind of wound together. And it's not a flat like burgundy color, which I think is really nice. And this yarn has a little bit of a shine to it, which is like not my favorite, which I know is probably due to the acrylic, which is why I'm pretty stoked about the mohair, because the mohair actually takes out that shine really nicely. So that I am very appreciative of. And the reason why I added in the mohair, even though it's not called for in the pattern, is because the Barocco Vintage DK, the gauge is actually a little bit lighter than what is called for in the pattern. So I swatched, and I think I was like a stitch too small, and I did not want to size up my needle because I was afraid that the fabric would be a smidge too open for what I wanted it to be. Like, I wanted this to be a really great layering piece for him in the fall and the winter. Cameron's not a large coat person. He runs rather hot. So I wanted this to be something that he could throw over in the fall and the winter. And so I really didn't want this to be too open of a fabric. So instead of going up a needle size, I opted to add in the mohair to see how that would affect the gauge. And my stitch gauge, bang on. My row gauge is now 1 stitch too large, which I don't think will be too big of a deal. I'm pretty sure Petite Knit writes her patterns in terms of inches when you're knitting, so that can be modified pretty easily. So I am really, really excited. I think it's going really well. When I first filmed this video last weekend, before I realized that we had audio issues when I went to go edit said video, I had just finished the German short rows, but I am now into the raglan increases. So it's going really, really well. It's flying. It's really nice to be working on like just a stockinette project after 2 textured knits. So I'm really, really excited. I love the color. He really likes it. He really likes how it feels. I had knit 2 separate swatches, obviously, one with mohair and one without mohair, and I let him kind of feel both, place the swatches on different areas of his skin and his body to see which one he liked best. Because if he did like the one without the mohair more, I would have figured out the sizing, potentially playing with what size I knit for him, because he does have sensitive skin and sensory issues. And if the mohair was going to be a little too irritating to him, I wasn't going to force him to obviously wear a whole sweater with mohair in it. So, but overall he actually did like the swatch with mohair, so I think we're good to go. So, and once I finish the raglan increases and I have this on a larger cable, my larger cable is currently being occupied by another project, so I have one coming in the mail. I'm gonna have him drape it over his shoulders so he can kind of get a feel for it on a larger expansive skin and see if that opinion still stands. And if he decides that he does not like the mohair anymore, then we can pivot earlier on in the project than after we have a full situation. So, but it is going really well. I really like it. We have a full folded collar, German short rows are done, and we are into the raglan increases. So I think it's going really well. I really like it. I think it's gonna look really, really nice on him, and it's going pretty quickly. So yeah, hopefully this will be done. I think I definitely should have this done by his birthday. His birthday is in the beginning of March, and we are mid to late January, so I have high hopes. I'm also knitting him the size, I think technically the 3XL. He has a size, or 50-inch chest, and the size 3XL in this pattern has a finished chest measurement of 57 inches, so that'll give him 7 inches of positive ease. Because I want this to be a layering piece, I want him to be able to wear things underneath of it. And Petite Knit obviously is not known for being like the most size inclusive either, so I don't really think that is like genuinely a 3XL. Like, he in general wears like an extra large to a 2XL t-shirt with room, so like I don't think he's actually a 3XL, but that's just how it's labeled in her patterns. Like I know when I knit her patterns, I have to knit a 2XL size, even though most other patterns it's an extra large usually. So, but that's what I'm knitting for him as a man who is rather broad-shouldered and has a classified barrel chest, as he likes to say. So I think it'll fit him really well, and I think he'll really like it, and I think it'll be a really nice option for like to be a little dressy on certain occasions. So I think it'll look really, really nice. My only other current work in progress is my Cozy Comfort Throw by a Homespun house. And if you're new here, you've never seen this before, but if you're a long time watcher, you've not seen this in a really long time. This has not gotten a lot of work because obviously there's been other things that I've been working on. This has kind of been just chilling in the background. But I actually have been putting a lot of work into this project lately, but it's not gonna look like it. It's gonna look like nothing's happened on it. And that is because I decided to rip this entire thing out and start it over. So when I initially cast this project on, I cast it on an additional 30 stitches because I thought that it wasn't gonna be wide enough. But then as I was knitting, I think I got to like, I wanna say the 8th color in my advent, realizing I was almost halfway through my advent and I was quite shallow in my blanket, and I was really worried that it was gonna be really awkward size. So I decided, you know what, like I don't want to get too deep into this project and be like, oh, this is a really awkward size, and then either have to just deal with a really awkward blanket or then rip it all out and start all the way over. So I just decided to commit and rip it out. So I essentially just wound the entire blanket, like the 2 yarns together on my yarn winder, and rip it all out that way and then re-knit it. So I am almost to where I was initially, and then we'll be actually making positive progress, I guess, into the yarn advent, like making an actual dent into the yarn from the advent. But so believe it or not, even though it doesn't look like there's any new progress on this from the last time it was on the podcast, this was like ripped completely out and then re-knit recently. So, because this has kind of been my savior, because of the 2 projects that I had on the needles were very textured knits. This was very much my mindless project when I was watching TV or just like kind of needed a break. So there's been a lot of work on there. It just doesn't look like it. So I ripped her all the way out, recast it on, and I've been putting a lot of work into it, but I still really like the way this is looking. I think the Cozy Comfort Throw, often you see it worked in like contrasting stripes for advents. This advent I'm using is the Irish Artisan Yarns 2023 and Irish Christmas advent, and it's inspired by the Irish coastline, and it is very much more of a fade situation, so it is way more subtle, which I kind of like really like. I think the only thing is I wish I would have chosen maybe more of like a gray to hold with it than a white, but I still think it's really nice. I still think that fade is coming through. I think it's still really, really gorgeous. So I have been giving this a lot of love lately, and I'm really, really excited to finish this because once this blanket is finished, I will be casting on the Sweet Shop blanket by Laura Penrose, and we'll be using my Knotty Pine Fiber Co. Homestead Advent from 2025, which I'm super excited about, which I don't think will take nearly as much time because there's not as many stitches on the needles at one time. So, but yeah, not much to say about this in terms of like, I just ripped it out and restarted, but I still really, really like it, and she's been getting some steady progress on it, so hopefully it'll be finished soon so we can move on to a new advent project. Okay, that is all I have for whips and finished objects, but I do have some spinning updates. So last podcast I chatted with you guys about some potential ideas for the Jaunty spin along knit along for Andrea Mowry. And so, plot twist, I'm not doing any of those options. I proposed 4 options to you guys I needed help choosing from, and then Adrienne from Hello Yarn decided to do a sneaky little fiber update on her website that I happened to catch. So I bought fiber instead, and that is now what I'm doing for the Jaunty spin along knit along, and I'm really excited to show you the fiber, and I've already started spinning it. So one braid is already done. I will show you a little kind of collage here so you can kind of see the color story, but I'm really excited. So the first color that is already spun up is Extra Marshmallows. I think it's really fun because all the fiber that I bought is like dessert themed, I guess, which I think is really fun. So the first bobbin that I have that is completely spun up for my first single is Extra Marshmallows, and it is it is a South American wool blend, and it's a top. Guys, I loved spinning this. This was super like squishy, and it was just like a really like, it was such a pleasure to spin with, but it was just like a really like, the colors were really, really pretty because it was like overall rather like light in tone, but it still had really beautiful deep like browns and oranges and yellows in it, which I really liked. But there is a unifying blue in all 3 braids, as well as like a gold in all 3 braids, which is like will be the unifying colors in all 3 braids. That's gonna bring it all together, I think, I hope, fingers crossed. But this is what my single looks like, which I really like. Obviously, this is not all the colors. Not all the colors are represented in this bobbin right now, but I'm really, really proud of my consistency. This is probably like the thinnest I've spun. There are some areas that are still pretty thick, obviously. Like this area right here is probably a little thicker than I would have wanted it to be. This area is probably a little thicker than I would have wanted it to be, but overall, I'm like pretty ecstatic with how this turned out. So I am really, really happy with this. I'm still like, consistency is something that I'm still working on, but I think with every spin that I do, it definitely gets more and more consistent. So, you know, we love that. So that is a South American wool blend. And now the next color that I have moved on to is my more moody color of the 3, and it is called Trifle, and it is a limited edition American wool blend. And it is definitely the more moody of the 3 colors. And I already have it split into the 3 sections. A bit of it's already on my wheel, and I don't want to pull the bobbin off, but here's like the fiber. I'll let it just kind of like, oh, it's so pretty. And you still have like a little bit of vibrant pieces, but we have that like unifying light blue color. We got some oranges. It is very pretty. I like love this. I love the way it's spinning up. It is very much spinning very moody on my wheel, and I really like it. And I can definitely tell that this texture is different from the South American wool blend, but I'm not mad about it. This one's just more spongy. It's very spongy feeling, and I like it. So very moody. I feel like it has more berry tones, but again, we have like that orange and we have that light blue that is like my unifying color, I think, in all of my braids. So we have, that's Trifle. And then my last color that I got is another South American wool blend, and this one is called Macarons. I'm gonna keep this one in the bag, I think. But it is basically like the more vibrant mid-tone. So we have the light, which is my Extra Marshmallows, and then we have the deep, which is the Trifle, and then we have this one, which is like mid in tone and is a little bit more vibrant. And it has the light blue, but it has more of like a mid-tone purple, and it's more vibrant. But it still has like the deep browns from the Extra Marshmallow, and then it has those gold tones as well. So I think overall, it's gonna go quite well together. I'm really excited. I'm very curious. I don't know. I don't know if I've really nailed picking out braids to go together yet. Spinning is definitely a more fun experimental hobby for me. So I'm just like really intrigued to see how this is gonna go. But I definitely opted to go for a 3-ply combo spin just because I really like playing with color and like seeing how a combo spin's gonna come out, and then also seeing how it's gonna knit up. So I'm having a really fun time. One braid's already spun. I'm almost done with the first third of this braid. So I've basically been putting my audiobook on and just spinning. That's what I plan to do once I eat after filming this. I'm just gonna put my AirPods in, and I'm gonna listen to my audiobook, and I'm gonna probably finish spinning this braid. I've got this piece left and the last third left. So I'm really stoked. I think it's gonna be really, really fun. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of the new plan. I think it's going to be really fun. I think it's going to still achieve a really fun, moody yarn that's very like purple and blue forward. So I think it's still going to give a very similar vibe as the yarns that are the fibers that I showed last episode. But I don't know. I was just really excited to snag a Hello Yarn update, and I really liked these specific colors. So I'm really excited. I think these make me more excited than what I was pulling from Stash. So, and I feel like if you're not excited about it, then what's the point, you know? She says to validate her purchase. So in terms of acquisitions, I don't have any yarny acquisitions. I just showed you my fiber acquisitions, but I do have stationery acquisitions, and I blame Mckenzie from M to the Third because I was watching her Vlogmas this past Christmas, and she mentioned Hobonichi and was talking about her new weeks planner and her cousin and like the whole format of weeks. And I was like, wow, that actually sounds like something that would be perfect for what I need and like what I would use. And I've always wanted to be a planner and a journal girl, but I could never stick to it because I could never find something that would work for me. So then all of a sudden I'm looking up Hobonichi weeks and Hobonichi this and Hobonichi that. And then my entire TikTok For You page and all of my social media is all about journaling and Hobonichis and fountain pens and washi tapes. So now I am the proud owner of a Hobonichi weeks, a Midori journal, 2 fountain pens, a giant bottle of fountain pen ink that is absolutely gorgeous, many rolls of washi tapes. I have 2 sticker books coming in the mail. And I'm a junk journaler now. I'm journaling every day. Like it's a problem, y'all. We are in a deep hole. We are in a deep hole, but I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I'm having such like a great time. Like, it is so much fun. Like, I'm so glad that I found a system that works for me. I feel like it's always such a fun thing when you find a new creative outlet that like fits your lifestyle, because I always love finding new ways to be creative that, I don't know, makes you kind of like, I don't know, it's fun. It's always fun to find a new way to be creative. And I love being crafty specifically, so this has been super fun for me. I just got my weeks last week, I think. So I only have like 2 weeks in it right now. So this was my first week. We did a little purple theme. I love this washi tape because it has purple and gold foil on it, and it's like it's supposed to be like a blue hour sunrise theme. And I've got lavender washi tape, and essentially I'm using it as like a to-do list. I'm tracking my sleep score because I sleep with my Apple Watch on. I'm writing down what projects I'm working on that week, what I'm reading, what I'm watching. I'm also writing down like any plans I have that week, like my work schedule, if I'm hanging out with friends, if I have an event or plans. I also am a big to-do list person, so I have like a weekly to-do list that I have, so like any like general things that need to get done that week, but don't necessarily need to get done on a specific day. And then I have a daily to-do list section, so things that like I need to get this done today kind of situation. So that was my first week. And then this is this week, which we did more of a clean kind of green situation. So I opted for these really cute watercolor pine trees down at the bottom, and then I have this really cute green gingham washi tape, but same setup, tracking my sleep score, to-do list, current knitting projects, current book I'm reading, what I'm watching, to-do lists and events and everything. Absolutely love this. This is the bow and tie weeks, which is made out of bow and tie fabric. So it has a really cute corduroy texture and all these really cute woodland creatures on it. There's a bear, owl, squirrel, and a rabbit, some mushrooms, and flowers, and I just think this is like the cutest thing ever. I love it. I also grabbed a Midori journal because my first purchase was a fountain pen, and to write with said fountain pen, you can't just use any regular old paper. You have to have fountain pen friendly paper. So I grabbed a Midori journal, which is like really nice Japanese stationery that is fountain pen friendly, which has then turned into a junk journal of sorts. So This was my first junk journal that happened by accident because I skipped a couple pages. So I taped a bunch of stuff in here. Advent stickers, I cut out the package that the stitch marker from the Advent came into and taped it in there. I have the price tag from the bottle of ink that I bought, the receipt from said fountain pen purchase, my first washi tapes that I bought, like a whole bunch of stuff. And this is what made me realize that like junk journaling is really fun. I like this a lot. So then I started doing kind of a hybrid of like daily journaling and junk journaling, to where like I would glue in just like things from my day. That's not like if I had anything. So like for example, one day at work, my coworker got me a London Fog just as like a sweet little treat. So I glued in the tea bag tag here, and then the coffee sleeve, I cut out like the caution hot beverage, and then all the little like coffee mugs from the coffee sleeve I cut out and then glued in there as like makeshift stickers, but they have like this texture of the coffee sleeve, which I thought was super fun. And then I cut out like the Trader Joe's tag and like my tea bag tag I have in there. And then Cameron and I got the mystery Trader Joe's bags that are like state themed. And of course, you know, being from Indiana, I had to get the corn bag. Not intentionally, that just happened to be the one package we got. We got the Indiana bag, the Portland bag, and then the corn bag. So I cut out the corn can from the tag and glued that in there. And then I just got some couple cute washi tapes and everything. So this has just been really fun. Like I've really been enjoying this, and like just like the meditative, creative like routine of like every now and then when I have something to write about, sitting down, coming in, like picking out my washi tapes and gluing in some like junk that I've accumulated, and then just like writing about the last couple days has been really, really fun and like therapeutic for me, and like helping me kind of work through some frustrations or emotions, or like talking about highlights and things like that. It's been super fun, and I've been having such a great time with this. I've decorated it with some cute stickers, which has been super great. I now have so many rolls of washi tape, it's ridiculous. The inside of it is also decorated. I have my Lububu cards in here. I've got some stickers put in here. I have the inside. I have more Lububu stickers. I have a Skull Panda, or I have a Lububu card, my Skull Panda card, some more stickers. Like, this has been so fun. I never thought that I would be a journaler, but now I love it. It's so great. I think the secret has been getting an undated journal, so I can just kind of write in it whenever I want to, and there's no pressure of missing a day and there being an empty page and feeling like I failed. So, and this, with the weeks, I don't feel any pressure. Like if I don't sit down like on Sunday to fill out the week before, I can always retroactively fill it out anytime during the week or at the end of the week, which is really nice. Like I have set myself up for success in terms of like not having high expectations. So, and this is just a really fun, creative way to go about it, and I'm like just having a really great time. So yeah, and like all because Mckenzie mentioned Hobonichi in her Vlogmas. And then I had these really two fun fountain pens. It's a TWSBI and a Quaco, and I love these. I think the TWSBI is my favorite, and I love how they write, and now I feel like I'm a pen snob because I like don't want to write with anything else but my fountain pens. So these are the only two that I have currently, but I'm sure I will acquire more over time. But I've become a stationery girly, and I love journaling, and I am trying to keep myself in check, but I don't know how long that's gonna last. Okay, that's all I have for acquisitions, so let's jump into some life stuff. I'm still reading The Primal of Blood and Bone by Jennifer L. Armentrout, but I have switched from the book, or the ebook, to the audiobook, and I've determined it's because I really don't want to read this book. So I've decided, well, not that I don't want to read this book, but essentially because I'm not enjoying this book as much as I thought I would, so I'm opting to do any of my other hobbies instead of reading this book. So to combat that a little bit, I've downloaded the audiobook so I can at least listen to the audiobook while I'm knitting, or while I'm spinning, or doing chores, or while I'm on the bus, or things like that. And that is purely because I'm so committed to this series. I've read the entire prequel series. I've read every book up to this most recent book, And I think the only reason why I am not enjoying this book as much as I thought I would is because it is a lot of filler. I also feel like for some reason, the way Jennifer L. Armentrout is writing in this specific book is not good. It is not good. Something about the way she is writing is off, and I don't think it's not written well. So, which is very upsetting because I don't know why that changed all of a sudden and is disappointing. And I also don't think she's doing her male main character, the love interest, justice. My coworker, one of my friends that I work with, we were talking about it, and she feels like he is getting the Daenerys Targaryen treatment from Game of Thrones, not the book series, but the TV series, in the terms of like, she just like goes crazy, like all of a sudden. It's not like a slow build like it's supposed to be to where it makes sense, but it's just kind of like off the cuff to where it like doesn't make sense, and we're all just kind of like, what is going on? Why is this happening? Kind of thing. So then it doesn't make it believable, and it kind of takes you out of the story, and you're just kind of like, I also don't think she can write from the male perspective very well, because this book is split between the girl main character's perspective and his perspective, and I feel like his perspective is very cringy. So there's that as well. So it's also taking me out of it. So I'm just like not having a very good time reading it, but I don't want to DNF it because I do want to finish this series. This was supposed to be the last book, but quote unquote, she said that there was too much unfinished to fit in this book, so she had to split it. And this book has over 1,000 pages, and apparently, according to my coworkers, they don't even leave the bedroom until halfway through, which is 500 pages. And I'm like, girl, I think you needed a better editor, to be honest with you, and to take stuff out. But whatever, it's fine. I don't think it's terrible by any stretch of the imagination. I do wish it was better. I do wish the writing was better. I do wish that she was doing her male main character a little more justice. I am going to finish it because I want to finish the series. I've committed to it this far. But yeah, I think I'm just a little disappointed, unfortunately. So I'm listening to the audiobook so I can push through it, so that way I can at least listen to it while I'm doing other things. So hopefully I will finish it soon so we can move on with our lives and read something else that's more enjoyable. So if you have any book recommendations, that would be great. I think my next read is Quicksilver, which is what has been being recommended to me by my coworkers. I also am interested in reading Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I have already read the first Mistborn book, but I think I want to reread it. It's been a while since I've read it before I go on to the second book, so I really do want to like dive deep into the Sanderson universe, the Cosmere, if you will. So, but if you have any other recommendations for like fantasy books, I would love to hear it. They don't even have to be romantasy. I just love fantasy in general. So I'm also I'm watching Breaking Bad currently with my husband. That has been super fun. We are on season 3, so it's getting real. We're getting deep, you know? Breaking Bad was a show that I tried watching a while ago on my own and like didn't like it for some reason, but for whatever reason now it's just like hitting real good for me. So that's been our show that we've been watching lately. Peaky Blinders is kind of hitting, been on the back burner, but we'll get back to it eventually. I'm also still watching Critical Role Campaign 4 and Campaign 2 on YouTube. I am like still an episode behind on Campaign 4, but it's so fun to, again, watch this campaign because it's so funny to me because it's hard to tell if it's like the new campaign, like the new D&D rules, or if it's just like a Brennan flavor thing that he's doing, because Brennan, it just kind of like is, I think, homebrewing a lot of things for this campaign, but also they are doing the new D&D rules at the same time. So it's like, is that like, which one is it? Like, it's so fun. I love watching this campaign. I'm having such a good time. It's so fun. He is such a great DM. I love the vibe of this campaign, so having a great time with that as well. Other than that, Cameron's had some stuff going on health-wise, but we are currently on the back end of that and we are on the mend, so we are all good there. And Happy New Year. It's 2026 and we are so stoked to be here. She says somewhat sarcastically. Yeah, I hope to hopefully maybe next podcast have some maybe knitting goals to go over with you guys for what I want to, like patterns I want to knit this year, maybe like techniques I want to try, things like that. But yeah, your girl is just tired. Work's been really busy. We've been a little short-staffed because everyone's been going on vacation for the holidays. So hopefully things will kind of be tampering off a little bit and sister will be a little bit more rested and have a little bit more time for knitting, a little more energy for knitting and hobbies. So yeah. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for sticking around even though I've been a little absent lately. If you guys liked this video, please give it a like. It really helps my channel out. And if you want to stick around for more crafty goodness, please subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon if you want to get any notifications for when I post in the future. Thank you all for stopping at my little crafty corner of YouTube and sharing your time with me today. See you next time. Bye.